Foster parents, what almost made you return your child? I was nervous about meeting Nico when I first arrived at the foster care center. He was 6 years old with huge brown eyes that looked hollow and empty. The social worker told me he was sweet and artistic and loved to color. What they didn't tell me was why he lived in terror of water. I walked into the playroom expecting to find a typical kid playing with toys. Instead, I found Nico at a small table covered in drawings. Every single picture showed people floating face down in blue scribbles. Some had their mouths open in silent screams. When he saw me, he held up his latest creation. The baby's still down there. The social worker pulled me aside and explained that Nico had anxiety about water. She said it was manageable with the right approach, but something felt much darker than a simple anxiety. He'd been returned by 4 families already because his reactions to water were too extreme. I thought they were being weak. All kids have fears we can overcome, right? During our second visit, Nico showed me more drawings hidden under his mattress. Dozens of pictures of the same scene. A small figure sinking while a bigger figure held it down. He used black crayon for the baby's hair. He had soft hair like mine, he whispered while tracing the drowning figure. When I asked who the baby was, Nico started rocking back and forth. My fault. Should have saved him. The third visit broke my heart completely. We were walking past the facility's bathroom when someone flushed a toilet. Nico collapsed on the floor screaming and clawing at his throat. Can't breathe. Water in my mouth. Mommy, stop. He vomited from panic while begging an invisible person. The social worker had to sedate him while he fought against drowning that wasn't happening. I stood there feeling my chest tighten with dread. Despite every instinct screaming no, I couldn't abandon him. Maybe it was how he flinched when anyone raised their hands near water fountains, or how he whispered, "I'm sorry," every time he heard water running. There was something shattered in this little boy that made me need to try, so I brought him home. The placement revealed the depth of his trauma immediately. Nico wouldn't drink anything unless it was in solid colored cups. He couldn't see the liquid or he'd gag and cry. He wore the same unwashed clothes for days because touching wet fabric made him scream. Once I found him at 4 in the morning stuffing towels in every drain, so he can't come back up, he sobbed. I tried everything professionals suggested to help him cope. Therapists said it was severe PTSD manifesting as hydrophobia. Some prescribed medications that made him sleep but didn't stop the nightmares. Others suggested gradual exposure therapy. But Nico would draw those drowned babies and whisper, "I'm next. Mommy said so." The worst night came 5 months into the placement. I was washing dishes when Nico walked in. He saw the sink full of water and went catatonic. His eyes rolled back and he started choking on nothing. But then he began speaking in a voice that wasn't his. "Stop moving, baby. You'll like it down there. Mommy needs you quiet." He was channeling someone else's words. I dropped everything and held him while he convulsed with memory. He kept gasping about bubbles and tiny fingers and how quiet everything got. His eyes stayed open. Why did his eyes stay open? Over and over while scratching at his own neck. That night he drew himself holding a baby underwater. Above them both was a shadow labeled Mommy. The next morning I called the social worker feeling completely overwhelmed. I loved Nico, but these memories were destroying us both. Maybe he needed intensive psychiatric care. Maybe someone trained in severe trauma could reach him. The social worker asked me to wait while they obtained sealed records. A week later she called me in with tears already falling. She had court documents on her desk and a tissue box ready. We got the records unsealed. Nico's case is worse than we knew. She slid the papers across with trembling hands. Inside were crime scene photos I wish I'd never seen. Mother's confession during lucid moments. Drowned 8-month-old baby found in tub. 6-year-old Nico pulled from same water blue and unresponsive. Revived after 3 minutes of CPR. Mother stated she was sending them both to heaven together. Nico spent weeks in ICU. Baby brother buried while Nico was still hospitalized. I stared at the photos of that bathtub while bile rose in my throat. Nico hadn't just witnessed his brother's murder. He'd been murdered too, and brought back. The social worker wept openly. His mother told him he was supposed to stay down there with his brother. She's angry he survived. I thought about Nico at home sleeping on towels to absorb any water that might find him, drawing his brother floating forever, apologizing for still breathing. The adoption finalized 1 month later. I never told Nico what I'd learned about dying and coming back, but now when he wakes up gasping, I hold him and whisper that he's allowed to be here, that staying alive wasn't wrong. Someday the water might not own him. Today we just keep him dry and breathing.